Making my bed helped me become myself again. And wait, before you say, what the hell is this girl talking about? Let me explain. I used to be one of those people who thought, why would I even bother to make my bed when I'll mess it up again tonight? Or why would I bother putting myself together today when nobody I know is going to see me? Although seems harmless, this mentality goes much deeper. What it actually means is that we do not value ourselves enough to show up for ourselves just because. We put other people's perception of us above anything else. But the major problem with this is that it creates a gap between our desired self, the one we show up as in public, and who we are when nobody is watching. And what most people don't realize is that that last part that we neglect the most is actually our identity. Not how other people see us, but how we see ourselves. And this, with time, without us even noticing, slowly brings us to a point where we forget who we are. We lose our authenticity and we get caught up in molding ourselves into what we think others would find acceptable, that eventually we end up losing ourselves. So in this video, I will share the 6 habits that you might not have even thought about that help me find myself again, reclaim myself, find my spark, and become authentic again. Hello, beautiful. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Stephanie, and on this channel, we upgrade our identity while tapping into our authenticity, one habit and mindset shift at a time. And we also love science over here. I'm so proud of you for choosing yourself today by clicking on this video, and let's become our amazing authentic self again. This first one is my favorite. Show up when nobody is watching. Do you find yourself doing things differently in public from how you do them at home when you're by yourself? Do you feel this need to be a more polished version of yourself in front of others, being more vigilant about how others might perceive you, and creating a way of behaving based on that? Most people think that who we are, our identity, is defined by how we act in front of others, the way we speak, how confident we look. But the truth is, this is our identity only when it becomes the default. What does this mean? Identity. Not talking about personality, not talking about how people see you. Real, authentic identity, something that stands on its own, regardless of the outside factors, is built by the habits and things we do when nobody is watching. Because if we act differently when we think that somebody is watching, that is not who we are. It's damage control. This is also rooted in lack of self-worth because we do not believe we are valuable enough to show up only for ourselves, and that's not true. You should show up for yourself more than anybody else in your life because you are the most important person in your life. You have always, no matter what, been there for and with yourself, and the relationship and self-respect you have with yourself dictates every other relationship in your life, whether it's a romantic relationship, friendship, work environment. If you believe you're valuable, you will allow yourself to receive bigger and better things. When we're around other people, we act in a way that we believe others would find acceptable, but when we are by ourselves is when the truth of who we are truly comes to light, even to the smallest things of how we eat our food, slowly and elegantly in public versus quickly and sloppily when we're by ourselves. And the reality is, we can only design our identity in public for so long. Eventually, we're going to slip. Even if we don't notice it, our bad habits and the low self-worth and how we behave when we're by ourselves, our messiness comes out in the way we rush when we speak, being anxious and stressed, leaving the house not looking our best, people pleasing, chasing others' approval. So I stopped focusing on how I wanted others to perceive me and focusing on shifting my identity to become that person. Focus on healing, learning how to love myself, being authentic instead of performing, and that is when I became the version of me I knew that I could become. Making my bed because I deserve to spend my days in a tidy, calm environment. You deserve to be yourself and create a good life for yourself. And creating our identity and a good life for ourselves is all in the small habits, the seemingly unnoticeable ones, not the grand big goals, not the more important things like work, school, or social life, but how do you plate your breakfast for yourself? Do you throw everything on the plate, or do you take 2 extra minutes to make it look aesthetic for yourself? And do you give yourself time to enjoy it in peace? Do you take your time to iron your clothes and put together a cute outfit for yourself just because? Do you speak kindly to yourself? Start with the small habits. Tomorrow morning, make your bed. Put on a coordinated loungewear set just for yourself at home. And most importantly, start doing what you said you'd do and respecting your own word. If you say you'll wake up an hour earlier tomorrow, do it. What we do and the way we do things when nobody's watching, and when we constantly repeat that, it slowly becomes more and more automated and eventually becomes who we are. So who are you? How does the ideal, authentic version of you act, even when nobody is watching? That is how we reclaim our identity. Becoming intentional with everything I do. There came a point where I realized that my days consisted of just doing things I had to do with no clear plan, no vision, rushing to get to places just in time to not be late, running around the house, getting ready, not allowing myself 15 minutes to have lunch in peace, eating quickly and whatever I could find. I was people pleasing, caring so much about what others had to say about me, and constantly feeling so stressed, anxious, miserable, and burnt out, not in control of anything in my life. And this is living life on autopilot. And the thing is, we are not even aware that we are living life on autopilot. And that is why most of us have fallen in this victim mentality and feel like nothing is in our control. But that is far from the truth. The first step towards changing it is being aware that we're living on autopilot, which you just did, and that is 50% of the job done. Now, if this sounds like you, don't be harsh on yourself. It is not your fault. You're probably taught these things as a child. Maybe somebody was overly critical of you, you were constantly rushed, or you just picked up bad habits along the way, or you just didn't have a role model to show you what being an emotionally mature person with healthy habits, healthy coping mechanisms, and just overall confidence looks like. But it is our responsibility to work on ourselves and change that. And you should be proud of yourself, because most people spend their entire lives not even being aware that they're letting life happen to them, instead of realizing that they have all the power in their hands to be the creators of their lives. So I stopped just mindlessly doing things and started being intentional with my time. This doesn't mean we overthink or try to control everything, but becoming mindful and aware of what we do and how we do things. Not being impulsive, but controlled. This can look like as simple as buying things with more thought put into it instead of impulsively and out of habit. Staying rooted within ourselves and not matching energy when somebody is rushing or disrespectful towards you, and not chasing people because you know that your worth is innate and you don't need them to love yourself. Let them be reactive. Let them say whatever they want. That is who they are. Who you are is decided by you and not by others. This means being mindful from how we dress to how we spend our days. Having intention is what gives us control over our lives and ourselves and who we become. And by focusing on what we can control, which is ourselves, our reactions and our views on certain situations, how we react when bad things happen in our lives, and most importantly, how we treat ourselves and how we allow others to treat us. And by focusing on what we can control is how we become the creators of our lives. And the best tool to use for this is planning. I started using a planner and planning my life around 2 years ago, and my life has completely changed. It's such a simple thing, but makes a huge difference. It helps you be more intentional with your life. You decide how you want to spend your day instead of just waking up this morning and knowing that you have so much to do but having no idea where to start. It helps you compartmentalize your tasks and your thoughts and gives you power to decide how you want your life to look like. Planning is the micro habit that is the core of being intentional and choosing who you are instead of becoming who your circumstances push you to be. Next, very important thing is slow down. You deserve to take time for yourself. I'll say that one more time because I know all of you are overachievers. You deserve to take time for yourself without feeling guilty. And it's not optional. You should take time for yourself so you can show up as your best self, not just for yourself, but for others as well. Because when you're constantly rushing and on the go, how can you expect to be the better version of yourself? So healing your nervous system and exiting fight or flight is so important to be able to allow yourself to be who you are and stop operating from a place of anxiety, stress, coping mechanisms. And when everything feels like an emergency, our body is in stress mode. It's anticipating a threat and focusing on survival instead of creating. Slowing down is mandatory to show your brain that it is safe to be ourselves. Stop overstimulating your brain. Stop constantly scrolling on social media, having to do things at all times. Take time to sit with yourself in silence. Work on healing yourself. Journal. And speaking more kindly to yourself. And I know you need to hear this because I needed to hear it too. Things are rarely an emergency. Slow down. You're okay, and you do not need to overextend yourself for everybody and get everything done done right now. Assess how you feel and give yourself time to breathe. Let go of other people's expectations. It is not your job to be everything for everybody. Let people fend for themselves the way you do that for yourself. It is not your responsibility to be constantly 24/7 there for everybody. And this does not mean that you won't be a friend or won't make sacrifices, but I want you to understand that you cannot heal people and solve their problems for them. That's their own responsibility. Give yourself some grace. It is not the end of the world if you don't do something today or don't do it perfectly. Sometimes done is good enough. But how does this connect to being authentic and being ourselves? Rushing and chaos constantly keeps us stressed in this state of chasing. It's one of the things that keeps us in autopilot. And this way of living slowly becomes our identity, and it shows up in everything we do, in the way we speak, the way we shrink ourselves in front of others, how we don't prioritize ourselves, how we let others disrespect us, even to the way we look. And this is not who we want to be. Slow down, breathe, take time for yourself, wake up an hour earlier so you can enjoy your breakfast in peace and do one thing for yourself today. Or if you're very tight on time, because I know how that feels, give yourself just 15 minutes to enjoy a cup of coffee. Slowing down puts you in control of yourself. Next very important thing is creating a boring routine. I used to be one of those people who said that I could never have a routine because doing the same thing every day is boring. But having a consistent, sometimes seemingly boring routine is the key to creating the identity we want, because identity is created with repetition. I want you to start seeing routines not as something you do, but as part of your identity. And going back to the first point, what we do on the daily when nobody's watching slowly shapes our identity. Decide who you want to show up as, and that is your authentic self, and what her priorities and non-negotiables are, and create a morning and night routine based on that. My morning and night routine consists of practices that calm my nervous system down. As somebody who is a very ambitious person but a huge overthinker and easily gets very anxious, I needed something to regulate myself. So I created a morning routine that helps me ease into my day, which consists of sitting in silence and having my tea and journaling at least for just 5 minutes, then having breakfast and working out. And my night routine consists of tidying up everything while I listen to a video, because it helps me slow down and signal to my brain that we are coming to the end of the day. And I kid you not, starting to implement these things helped me transform myself completely. Thinking back a year, I do not even recognize who I was. Having a routine gives you mental clarity. It lets you decide who you want to show up as. It gives you time for yourself that signals to your brain that, okay, we are in control of our day and not the other way around. Also, showing up for yourself in these small ways creates confidence and security within yourself, which helps you have the courage to come back to yourself, be authentic, and create your identity. Number 5, and this one was huge for me, detach from other people's expectations. This can be your parents' expectations, your friends, your teachers, society's expectations. It is not your responsibility to fulfill other people's expectations. People's expectations are not rules for your life. They're simply rooted in how they see life and how they think life should be lived, which is not a universal thing. And it is so unfair to yourself, and you're doing yourself such a big disservice by living your life and make decisions based on what other people expect, regardless of who they are. Because the hard truth is, you are the one who's going to be living with the consequences of those decisions. You will be the one who's going to have to wake up tomorrow and live a life that you don't like because you listened to what others expected of you instead of listening to yourself. Your life is yours, and you're the one who's going to carry the consequences of your decisions, whether they're good or bad. Even if they're bad, of course, if they're not ruining your life or sabotaging you or are dangerous, they're still yours. You decided to do that. If that business idea fails, you're still going to be happy because you tried. You had the courage to show up and try and give it your best. And it was your decision, and you'll have no regrets. You do not want to come to the end of your life with regret because you didn't listen to yourself and did everything to appease everybody else, which is, by the way, impossible. Trying to meet other people's expectations is fighting an uphill battle. There will always be something else. You're the one who knows your limits. You're the one who knows how you want to live your life. And you're the only one who sees your vision. Your life is not theirs. Stop allowing them to create it for you. Let me ask you one thing. Do you have expectations for them? Why don't they fulfill their own expectations instead of putting them onto you? And if someone says they're disappointed in you for not doing what they expected of you to do, is the most selfish thing somebody can do. It is not always from a bad place, and often they're not even aware of what they're doing and how harmful and selfish their behavior is. Remember that it is not your responsibility to fulfill their wishes, and you're not disappointing anybody. What they are really saying is not that they're disappointed in you, but they're angry because you didn't allow them to control you. It's more of a control thing. And pursuing a life that is different from other people's expectations, you're bound to disappoint people. Do not take it personally because it is nothing personal. It is more of a their personal issue. It is their need to control. The only person you should be worried about disappointing is yourself for not letting yourself to be happy and be who you are. And I know the people we are mostly worried about not disappointing is our parents. I know this is a little controversial, but often they want to live their own unfulfilled wishes and goals through you. And it is very important to recognize that and not fall for it. And that is why I'm saying that if somebody says that they're disappointed in you, it's nothing personal. It doesn't define your worth. It has nothing to do with you. If nothing, they are disappointing themselves for even wanting to control how somebody else lives their life. And listen, this is not because they hate us. It is rarely from a bad place. They think they know what's best for us. They have learned from their own mistakes and want to prevent you from doing the same mistakes they did, even though your life and who you are is completely different from them. Their path is different from yours. The way you see life is different. Their goals are not the same as yours. You have the complete right to design and live your life the way you want to. And that is the only way we can be happy and secure in being authentic. Sometimes it is not other people's expectations that are keeping us in a shell, but our own internalized critic. And we set these expectations for ourselves without realizing that it is what we think other people expect us to do, so we avoid being criticized or judged. We want to appease to other people and do things that we don't even want. So sit down with yourself and think about what it is that you want and not what others made you think you need to want. And what I do in real life, when somebody tries to impose an expectation on you and tries to guilt trip you into doing something they want you to do, don't react. Don't argue. Don't try to make them see your side of the story or understand what you want, because if they wanted to, or if they could understand, you wouldn't be having this conversation in the first place. Agree with what they're saying, but in your mind, just block it out. Let it go in one ear and out the other. Stay grounded within yourself. When somebody is speaking to me or saying things like that, I literally zone out. I don't even listen to them sometimes. Remember that their words are a reflection of them and their beliefs. It is nothing personal. It has nothing to do with you. Just move on with doing your own thing. Number 6, start working with yourself and not against yourself. You cannot hate yourself into becoming somebody you love. Most of the time, we are our own biggest hater without even wanting to. If you have a perfectionist mindset and you're somebody who either does everything perfectly or doesn't do it at all, or starting a new routine every Monday, going all in and then falling off and being so harsh with yourself, telling yourself that you can't do anything right, you need to push harder, you're just not consistent enough, you're being your own biggest critic. Imagine a child learning to walk for the first time. When they stumble, imagine you start shouting at them. You should have been walking perfectly the first time you tried. How could you have fallen? And now since you have fallen, you have to crawl again and then start walking. And if you fall again, we start from the beginning. Or say you're learning how to play the piano. Do you expect yourself to be Mozart the second you sit in front of the piano? When somebody you love falls off of something or doesn't do something perfectly, how do you treat them? Are you mean to them? Do you shout at them? Are you telling them you just need to try harder? You're not trying hard enough. Now you need to start everything from the beginning. No, because that's counterintuitive. So why are we being so harsh with ourselves? We have to eliminate this internalized tyrant of a voice, being mean to ourselves and having a perfectionist mindset. If we want to become our authentic self, we have to be gentler with ourselves in a constructive way. Take a step back and observe. What am I doing wrong? Why did I fall off? Get to the root of the identity we want to create and set productive, achievable systems. Instead of reinforcing this self-destructive loop of doing everything at once, burning out, falling off, and blaming yourself and telling yourself that you should just try harder. When you love yourself and change yourself from a place of love and work with yourself to create an environment within yourself and outside of yourself, where you can come back to who you are, become authentic, and reclaim yourself, is when you're able to let your guard down and be authentic. You don't need more criticism and shame to become who you are. You need to give yourself love, acceptance, grace, and understanding so you can finally feel safe and good enough to be your authentic self. I will be leaving you with affirmations. I am allowed to be myself no matter what anybody says. Who I am is enough, and my authenticity is my power. I come back to myself and everything falls into place. And with that, we came to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and sticking to the end. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, click the like button. I hope it helped you. I hope you learned something, because that is ultimately why I make these videos. Comment below what is one thing that helped you become more authentic to yourself, or just simply comment this emoji. Don't forget to subscribe, because I would love to have you around. You have no idea how much I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one.